We're starting the installation of the IAG air oil separator. I've already pulled out the radiator fan. There's just two 10 millimeters here and three connectors that you have to pop off. These two big guys, and let's see if we can get in the frame. A little guy down here. This guy's kind of a pain, the little one. Probably worse because I didn't let the engine cool down, so that was kind of crappy. But anyway, just be careful when you slide up. You can push the coolant hose in. I'm fairly certain I didn't do any of these nicks in the fins. I think it came that way because I was pretty dang careful pulling it out, but I guess you never know. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Gotta pop this clip. Another one down there on the output, compressor output of the turbo, and that one right there for the PCV. Thinking I'll get the intercooler out first, so that'll be popping this guy, loosening all these bolts, and it should just come out, and then move on to the charge pipe down there. So the intercooler bolts are 12 millimeter. I'm going to leave the ones in the bracket in the intercooler. Doesn't seem any reason to remove it. So on my car, these guys were crazy stiff. Took a lot of force, especially right here on the throttle body. It's pretty wild. So yeah, make sure you get this guy loose so you can get the, I think it's a brake booster line, a little bracket free. We'll get them all off, then we'll pull this clip, try to fish it out. I'm not sure if it's designed for it, but it sure seems like it. Right here, there's this little ramp, and you get your flathead right under here, perfect to pop that side, right here to pop it, and now this clip is free. You can see it kind of runs up right here. There's a little retention, so that's good to go. You don't need to take it all the way out. Got all my bolts out. When you do release your brackets, this guy tilts, so I think it's best to put your bracket in. Get the bolts not snug, but hand thread it down on the brackets, and then hit the throttle body. Intercooler is off. Not bad at all. I've got an ETS intercooler coming in, so this will be coming off again, but I wanted to get the AOS started. So I think our next step is somewhere in here. Yeah, I think it's off this line right, where's my hand? Off this line right here, there's a pretty big check valve we gotta get off. We've got to crack this line free as well. I've seen some people do it with a hammer. I think you can also cut this thing here. Well, we'll take a look at the best way to do that. Oh yeah, we still gotta remove the charge pipe, so we'll do that next. Okay, so we got the charge pipe out. When you're taking it off, again, I got rags and everything just so no dust gets in. This line, coolant line, I believe it's coolant line right here. This guy's gonna get in your way of that clip. So you're gonna kind of have to stick a screwdriver under there. And it probably depends on your setup, but I had to kind of pry it a little bit as I pulled the charge pipe out, but still not too bad. Now we got to pop this PCV line, and we're good to start working back near the throttle body. Okay, this one line is a real pain in the butt. It's sitting on top like that. I hammered the skirt off the very bottom, and it exposed this guy, and I think now I do is pull that clip and it should come off, but man, it's a pain. I think there's a special tool. You can do it with a chisel, screwdriver, whatever, and a hammer. Just hammer the skirt off and it'll break free. Okay, so we've gotten a little further. Can't remember if we left off with removing the pipes off the turbo, but we got that all done. Let's see. Yeah, we said we broke that guy off. I did take the timing cover off to get more room. Pop this vent hose off with the PCV. That's a 27 millimeters deep socket. So you gotta get a big guy like that, unthread it, and now we're gonna take it out. And it's pretty much all the disassembly. The only other thing you gotta pop off is the coolant line on the throttle body, but we're gonna wait on that. We got a couple wraps of Teflon tape on our barb fitting. We're gonna go ahead, thread this guy into the block, So then we can start installing the hoses for the AOS. All right, got the fitting installed to the block. It was a little bit of a challenge. I ended up having to, didn't realize it was coming free. I had to use a universal adapter to clear, actually that guy doesn't fall out, to clear this hard line, silver hard line right there. I'm gonna check it one more time and then start to work the coolant lines off the can. Just snap that adapter onto the turbo PCV side. I don't know what you really call that. I guess it's the breather side, just because I want to get it out of the bag. We're gonna go work on putting the bracket on the, okay, next step is to install the bracket. And it looks like the instructions have 3 holes exposed on the bottom. These are 5mm. I'm gonna throw some Loctite on them, drive them in. And then since I'm indoors, I'm gonna work on the stock PCV to the adapter they send. So we'll do these guys first. Okay, so the instructions call for liquid thread sealant. So we got Loctite 545. Gonna run on these threads. This is a 19, that's a 27. Tighten them up and move on. Okay, we got this guy all done. Brackets on and Loctited. Ready to move on to the car. Got our coolant hoses on now. My banjo was the wrong way, it's stuck, so these are 10mm if you need to readjust them. But don't crank them down too hard, just good and tight. So we got our hoses on, we're gonna go ahead, pop off the shock tower mounts. I'm not sure what size they are. I'm gonna guess 14mm. Yeah, that's a 12, so they're 14. These are the M10 bolts, so it's a 22 foot-pound torque. One thing I want to point out about the latest generation of these IAG kits, they've got quick disconnects everywhere. It's absolutely fantastic. This guy already has a hose clamp on it. I mean, this sucker's ready to go. The barb down, the Y fitting, quick disconnects, so it's real nice. You don't have to screw around with hose clamps when you reinstall it, so except for that one for the coolant, that's it. So right now we're gonna go ahead, find our coolant line here. This guy's probably about time to come out. Okay, right there, there's our coolant line. We're gonna try to put a little clamp on there, pop that coolant line, put the other one on. That's the 90 here. And yeah, and then put this guy on the throttle body. To avoid any chafing, I wrap the 90 fitting with some electrical harness tape, fabric tape, just so it doesn't chafe on this hose. Got everybody in. So that's the coolant side. I gotta look what the next step is. It's either attaching the line down there, or the breather on the back, or the breather in the middle. I'll check. Okay, so we got our Y hose started. It's not mated yet to the port there, but 90 is gonna go on the side of the can, and the straight right there is gonna go to the bottom. So we're gonna snap the Y into the block, make the straight one to the bottom, make the 90 to the side. So we got the Y fitting in, flat or straight to the bottom, 90 to the bottom, port on the side. And you can see how I routed it, the side fitting out under that pipe right there and around. Zip tied everybody up, wrap some fiber tape there where the slave cylinder is, just so you don't get any chafing. We're on to, I believe, shoot, I don't know. So this guy or that guy next. All right, we got the other breather line connected. Routed under the AC lines around, a zip tied to the wire harness there. To the coolant line there, or the AC line, back to the main bundle to the top side port. I think the manifold breather's next. So we finished routing the manifold breather. You can see the fitting down there. Clamps on. I wrapped some neoprene gasket around the guy, this brake booster line, so it doesn't get tore up. Be careful with this thing, it's really kind of soft. I think it scratched the inside a little bit when I was moving stuff around, but okay. Last one is off the turbo inlet to, I believe, the top, and then we start putting it back together. Okay, so last one. Oops, this is my balance here. It's this guy down here, the turbo inlet. It's like a 45-degree connection. Don't mate it yet to the top, the 45. Sorry, that's the 45, this is the 90. Don't mate the 90 yet because it says to put the charge pipe, the fan, and the intercooler back in first, I guess for the routing of the hose. So we're gonna put the charge pipe in, fan, intercooler, hopefully make that last mate. We're gonna check everything in here first. I think it makes me a little bit nervous is the coolant lines. I won't be able to really check those as the intercooler will be on top of them. So hopefully these clamps are good. All right, charge pipe is back on, 12 mil bolts in. So now I think I'm gonna check all these zip ties, make sure they're all cut. Yep. Okay, now I think we're on to the intercooler. Oh, fan first. Okay, fan is in. Just got to do the intercooler next. And that should be it. Make sure that there's a rubber O-ring and the intercooler to the throttle body. Make sure that's still in there when you put it back in. Okay, we got the intercooler back on. That is a pain. It's hard to make this connection here with the AOS in the back. I end up having to just remove it from the mount on the shock tower, kind of pull it back with a bungee cord, shove a rag in there and get it out of the way. But we're in, tighten all your bolts down, mount that relay line to the top. Let me zip tie this guy in here. That's it. Now we just gotta put our intake snorkel back on. And then when we start it up again, gotta loosen this guy and let the coolant run out until it's a stream and no burping. That's it. All right, we got her all tied down. Did some maneuvering with a zip tie in here to keep the hose off the water pump inlet. And then I just kind of loosely tied it down so it doesn't pump the hood. 22 inch-pounds on the strut mount. Nuts. We're gonna fire up the car, just bleed it out. We're done. This is, I don't know, it took me about 3 hours. It's not a horrible job, but it's definitely not fun.